Hello and welcome to the FDT-TV podcast. My name is Ian. As always, I am joined by the lovely Michael. How you doing?
Not too bad, mate. Feeling a little bit ropey today. Got a bit of the old man flu. It seems to be getting worse. Like I started feeling a little bit crap on Saturday, and yeah, I think it's manifesting into some absolute beast. So I might not be
No.
around next week's podcast because I might die between now and then. But if I
Fair
do
enough.
make it, it'll be a miraculous recovery. What about yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. And I've got to be honest, it was a lovely segue because Tom Lockyer came back to training this week. He died
Oh,
a couple of months, ago, didn't he? On the pitch. So yeah, he's back in training with Luton. He's been doing apparently some jigsaws and some DIY around the house. Feels a little bit disconnected at the minute, but I'm sure he will get back to his best, or if not, possibly move into coaching. Imagine football. He's one of those guys that plays for the love of it rather than for the payday, I think.
yep.
So it's the last thing I've seen of him. Marcus Rashford been boozing it up in Belfast. I mean,
And then called
what
in
can't?
sick.
Yeah, and they called him. I mean, it's all right calling him sick as long as you're not photographed on the booze. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
In a different country. Yeah. So I think that's that. It's not the beginning of the end. I think it is the beginning of the end of his Manchester United career under Ten Hag. And Jurgen Klopp has God. You know what? I've had enough of Liverpool. Shit, I'm going to leave. Um,
That
essentially,
I think is like the biggest news that has come out. I
yeah.
was I was actually shocked when Phil messaged to say he was jacking it in. I was expecting some sort of like punchline, but then obviously it was confirmed on Sky Sports and stuff, and I was like, oh, okay.
I mean, it's not the an English team, but Xavi has followed suit at Barcelona. He's also leaving at the end of the season, so we are going to see a big managerial merry-go-round over the next couple of months, and I have some theories on it, and we'll be going into it. Other than that, obviously FA Cup week, so been interesting. Wrexham are currently playing Blackburn. Will like a giant slaying. Blackburn not a giant, but Wrexham are only little. So hopefully they can come back. They're 2-1 down currently, but we keep a watching eye. But I think what we should do first is get into the predictions that we made a couple of weeks ago because we have missed a week due to other circumstances, but don't worry about that. So we're getting back into the flow of things. So Mike, what were the predictions that we made the week before last?
Okay, so we had Arsenal versus Crystal Palace and Sheffield United versus West Ham. We both said, sorry, I'm going to be completely honest, mate. Just before we recorded this podcast, I accidentally deleted the scores, but I know I'd done the results so we could work out the scores. So basically, I think you predicted 2-1 and I predicted 3-1 to Arsenal. The score was 5-0, so we both get a point each for the correct result. And then it was Sheffield United versus West Ham. We both went for a 1-1. The score was 2-2, so point each. So it's 2 points each for the week. So it takes our running totals. Ian, you're on 24 and I'm on 33. So there's a 9-point gap. So it's still relatively close, and we've still got just under half a season left to go. But we do have some games to predict this week. Nottingham Forest host Arsenal tomorrow, and then on Thursday, West Ham take on Bournemouth. I'm literally just going to check see if there's any other games at the weekend. I can't imagine there will be.
So just while you're looking it up, I will mention we in that Sheffield United game we did see the latest goal scored ever in the Premier League, which was 103 minutes. West Ham then won a penalty thereafter that. Well, no, they didn't. They should have because there was a rugby tackle to the floor, and the VAR went, nah, do you know what? It's handball. So yeah, it's a bit of a joke. That being said, my point I was getting to just very quickly is there's a game in Belgium involving Kasper Schmeichel's team, which is being replayed because of a VAR error. So, I mean, are they going to bring that back to the Premier League and we're just going to have a never-ending season?
No.
Who knows? Who knows? Can't see it because that means they have to admit they've done wrong. But go on, what are the games this week?
So there's actually some games on Sunday as well. There's some actually pretty big games, if I'm being completely honest. Both on Sky Sports. Man United host West Ham, and then Arsenal host Liverpool. So some pretty big games this week. I was thinking it was a bit of a damp squid of a fixtures week, but no, actually some juicy fixtures.
Bubble.
Absolutely. So there's a maximum of 12 points to play for. So 3 points for a correct score, 1 point for a correct result, and then bugger all if you get nothing.
Yep. And when does the Africa Cup of Nations end?
I
We're at the
want to say like
quarterfinal stage in the next round. So
mid Feb, I
we've
think.
got we've got a week. Sunday the 11th. So we've got a week before we can predict the final of that. We will be able to predict almost the semi-finals of that. We'll be able to predict possibly we're then leading into the final. We'll see if we can get a correct result there. I think there's double points up for grabs.
Why not?
So go on, Arsenal versus who?
Nottingham Forest.
Forest.
Yeah, obviously it was great to see us bounce back. Obviously we'd had a poor run of fixtures over the Christmas period, and into the start of the year as well. So it's we had a bit of a break with the warm weather training, and I'd say we come back looking quite sharp. I mean, Palace didn't really turn up. There was a couple of like half chances that Palace had, but we absolutely dominated not only the possession but in front of goal as well. It was actually good to see. But we see Gabriel get 2 goals. Trossard got 1, and then Martinelli come on as a sub and got 2 very quick goals right towards the end of the match. So very, very happy with that performance. Nottingham Forest languishing near the bottom of the table, kind of like looking into the jaws of relegation. A couple of bad results and obviously drag them into that position. Being away from home, again, we've been a little bit sketchy, but I would like to think that with that momentum that we got off the last game, and obviously we've had a bit of a break, so to speak, as well, because of the FA Cup results, it could swing in our favour. So we've got Thomas Partey coming back from injuries, back in first team training as well now, so I'd like to see us with another strong performance. Maybe too soon for Partey to come back. But I mean, he might get some minutes in the second half. Who knows? And we've obviously still got a couple of days left of the transfer window as well. So possibly some incomings and some outgoings. But for us, I would say I'm going to go for a 3-1 Arsenal, I think.
Ooh, different to me then. I'll keep it short and sweet. You've had an absolute wrecking ball of a game against Palace. I think your mentality is going to go back to, oh, this is easy. And you're going to lose 2-1 to Forest.
Okay. Moving swiftly on, West Ham versus Bournemouth.
Yeah, I think the key talking point here is Calvin Phillips going to start? If anything like a David Moyes signing, I know he's on loan, but he won't play. He'll play 1 game this season probably, because that's what David Moyes does with new signings. So I'm not hopeful. It's one of those that we need to start picking something up. We're down the man in Soufal, who's probably one of our better performers recently. We're on a bit of a torrid streak of not being able to create any chances. Bournemouth are playing fairly well now. They've started to get a few players back from injury as well. I'm going to go for a Bournemouth win, 1-0.
Okay. I'm going to go for 2-1 to Bournemouth on that one. Next is Man United versus West Ham.
Man United, West Ham. Man United, West Ham, bit of a strange game, isn't it? I think by that point we should have Kudus back at least. I think Paqueta's not quite fit to play. Manchester United, they lost to us, didn't they? Just before Christmas, and the trouble is we had a full strength squad then pretty much. But I'm going to go. I think United are starting to become good. They've got a few key players back from injury as well, although they've a bit of turmoil still. Lots of outgoings at the minute. I'm going to go for a Manchester United win 2-1.
Okay. I'm gonna go the opposite way to that actually, because I think they've been so hit and miss. I know they went on a bit of a purple patch. I think just before Christmas, at end of October, beginning of November, they went on a bit of a purple patch in the informed team for a while. But conceding, I mean, even 2 goals against Newport County, is I think against a better opposition that they can struggle. I mean, don't get me wrong, they can be brilliant on any given day, but also they can be their own worst enemy. So I'm going to go for 2-1 to West Ham on that one.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And then that leaves one more game, last but not least, which is Arsenal versus
Liverpool. We are the home team on this one. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I think we're going to get absolutely pasted on this one. We've obviously had a draw in the league just before Christmas. We then lost in the FA Cup against them in the 3rd round. I think that they've got the mentality edge over us. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would love for them to come to our ground and we kind of put them in their place a little bit. But even I'd take a draw now on Sunday. So, but I just think they're going to have too much for us. We've shown some frailties at the back again, conceding some silly set pieces. You just don't know what Arsenal's going to turn up. But I mean, we have got a bit of a break between now and Sunday, so I'm going to go 2-1 to Liverpool on that one.
They're scoring lots of goals at the minute, and I think they will continue to do that. And I think that, as I said, my theory with Salah being injured now is that the team they've got will perform better rather than having him in there, being a little bit more selfless and playing for the team. They're on a good run of form. I'm going to go for... See, trouble is when you think these games, you go, oh, they're going to be a big scoring game. They're usually a bit of a damp squib, aren't they? So it's a hard one to call. My initial gut feeling was 3-1 Liverpool, but I'm going to go for I'm going to go 1-1.
I'll take it. I'll happily take it, if I'm being completely honest. Yeah, I don't know. You see some games and you think, oh yeah. I mean, early on in the season, just before we played them before Christmas, I would have seen the way we started that particular game as well. But I mean, Liverpool, they've shown it time and time again that they are relentless and they'll keep going till the final whistle. And obviously they got the equaliser kind of late on against us. So yeah, I'm gonna go for a Liverpool win. I think they'll just have a little bit too much for us. And obviously with Klopp leaving, I think the team are going to want to give him a decent-ish send-off, and you never know, they could end up winning the title again this year. And what a way to sign off as well.
Yeah, and I think that could well be the case, that he ends up going out on top. I think that's potentially one of the reasons that he's gone, do you know what, I'm going to call it a day now. It's an interesting one. He said he's had enough and he needs a break, which is fair Klopp. Oh, look at that pun. But he's been there. He's been there 9 years now, hasn't he? It doesn't feel like it's been 9 years when that announcement came and we all went, oh bloody hell, here we go. Why has he gone to Liverpool? But he's done well. I think he's done a commendable job. I think he took over. They were 6th, so he's won everything since. So you can't really fault him in that terms. I think the asthma pandemic in Liverpool will vastly disappear. But I think potentially that break isn't going to be as long as what people anticipate. I think there are some interesting jobs that will become available. And I think that's a good way to get into that, because obviously Jurgen has left or is leaving Liverpool. I think his name will be in the hat for Barcelona. I think Thomas Tuchel, who is at Bayern Munich's name, will be in the hat for Barcelona. And I think Mikel Arteta's name will be in the hat for Barcelona. Now, what you have to say with all 3 of those managers is they are all at big clubs. But we've had this discussion before. Barcelona, Real Madrid only come calling once. Very rare do you see the manager back at Barcelona. and very rarely do you see a manager turn it down to then get a second stab at it. Do you know what I mean? So I know Arteta said, no, I'm not going anywhere. I think he's sensible enough, if there is a discussion to be had, to do that privately. One, because if that's found out, that causes great turmoil within the club already.
Mm-hmm.
But two, if it doesn't pan out how you want it to, then that's going to be very hard to come back from, I think. So I think, and I want your opinion on this as an Arsenal fan. I think in a certain sense, he's taken Arsenal as far as they can go, in terms of he's turned your fortunes around. He's put you in a good position with terms of squad and young players coming through. But I think he lacks the not the ability, the experience of going on to win titles. And to do that in the Premier League is much harder than it is to do in La Liga. And I think to go into that Barcelona team, who, okay, they're in financial crisis, that has to be said, but they have an abundance of young talent that is, when you look at it, you go, wow, this is going to be some team if they've got the right coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's an unbelievable coach, got to be honest. So I think for him to go in and go, actually, I can take this Barcelona team, do what I've done with Arsenal, up their game with a lot of young players, give them a lot of experience. I can learn from the mistakes I've made previously, and shortfallings, and actually I can be the guy who's brought Barcelona back from the brink. And to be fair, I know it's a strange season this season in La Liga, but it's a 2-team league, 3-team at best.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I think for him, there's no competition in it. How long do Arsenal go by being third best? Do you know what I mean? You finished second last year, granted, but you're third best because you got Man City, you got Liverpool, and then you got Arsenal. And it's going to be hard to keep up with them and with the spending, I think. So, but what's your opinion? Would it? Two questions. First one: if he went, would you begrudge him for it? And two, do you think he's likely to go?
Okay, I think the easier question to answer is he likely to go? I would say no.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff, obviously, that comes up in the media, and I think when it comes to conversations that Mikel Arteta has with the media, I would say for stuff that he is cagey about, he would kind of like, what's the word? Give an ambiguous answer. So obviously we've seen most recently, obviously the Ramsdale Raya saga. Obviously, I think one of the big ones was the Aubameyang decision.
Yep.
It gave kind of like woolly answers when it comes to the positions within the team. Obviously, this is something that's going to, until Barcelona get in or announce a replacement, there's always going to be kind of speculation. But I would say no, he's not going to be, or he's not likely to leave. But would I begrudge him doing it? Absolutely not. He's been a fantastic manager for us. Obviously, first managerial position. Obviously, as a bit of a club legend, but let's not forget he was a youth, an academy prospect at Barcelona. So effectively, it's him moving on to the next big thing in terms of clubs being able to kind of win stuff. Obviously, he's cut his teeth here. He's from Spain. No, you couldn't begrudge him it. It was the same with Fabregas going back to Barcelona. Obviously, Thierry Henry took Arsenal as far as he could go, went to Barcelona. So no, I don't think you could begrudge him going back to Spain. Obviously, family ties or whatever. So, but I genuinely, and you could probably quote me on this, I genuinely don't think he will go. until his contract's up, at least.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think, out of respect, I know Xavi said he's stepping down this week. That's only a couple of days ago. I don't think he's going to. Yeah, there's a certain caliber of manager who's not going to say anything until such point as that manager's out of that position.
Yep.
And I think his opinion on it would be, if you could sit down with an honest conversation, is there has always got to be an interesting prospect there, but there is a manager in that job at the minute, and until there's not, no point even discussing it.
Mm-hmm.
Just out of respect for, I'm not going to hunt someone else's job while they're still in it.
Yep.
Subsequent question, hypothetically, if he does go, do you want Moyes? Or if not, who do you want?
Roy Hodgson.
Roy Hodgson.
Yeah.
Would you take, and this is a serious question, would you take Unai Emery back?
I personally, would I take Emery back? That's a really tough one, because obviously we saw glimpses of what he could do for us in his first season. Obviously, I think we went on like a 16-game unbeaten run at the time, and things were hunky-dory. I think we got to 2 Europa League, or it was certainly Europa League final and semi-final, obviously losing out to Chelsea in the final, and Sevilla, I think, in the semi-final. There was a language barrier there, obviously, and you can see it from training videos. Like, some of the players look at him like, what the hell's going on? He's had a lot more time in England, can understand English a little bit better. You can't argue that his tactics are amazing. Obviously, you don't win European trophies for nothing, and the job he's doing at Aston Villa is absolutely phenomenal. I can see if we were to reappoint him, that what's his name, Martinez would come back to Arsenal, and he'd be an absolute snake. No, that's a joke. Obviously, we wouldn't sign him again. But no, yes and no, because I mean, by the end of his tenure, I just wanted him gone. But again, the club was in a massively different position. The dressing room was quite toxic. The relationship with the fans was horrific. It's probably the lowest that I ever remember.
Yeah, and I think if you look at the squads that you had, a lot of the players that Arteta was given the okay to just cull. So, all right, some were brought in by Emery, but a lot of them were already there as well. So I think when you look at the caliber of the team you've got in, and the attitude that they've got now compared to when he was there, I think the whole club has done a sort of a total U-turn in what was going on. So I think he could potentially have another stab at it. But hypothetical, of course. Now, we do know that Jurgen Klopp is leaving. That is a definite. Xabi Alonso, who obviously Liverpool legend, is currently tearing up the Bundesliga with Bayer Leverkusen. Plays a very, I say, similar style. It's very attacking, very high pressure style to what Jurgen Klopp plays. He's been tipped to take over at Liverpool. Now, I think this could go a different way, because I believe that Liverpool could end up with a Thomas Tuchel possession passing game, and that's what he's based on. Has more credentials to his name than Alonso does. Has done it in the Premier League. So there is that bonus to it. And the reason I say that is there are managers who have done well abroad that have never been able to do it in the Premier League. And Tuchel did it with a Chelsea team that was crumbling and going through some really horrific stuff. So I think he's more likely to come to Liverpool. I don't know if you agree with that, but I see Alonso more likely going to Bayern Munich. That's my theory. If Tuchel doesn't go to Barcelona, he's going to Liverpool. Either way, I think Tuchel's leaving and Alonso's going to Bayern.
Yes, it's crazy. I mean, you summed that up perfectly at the start of the video. It's going to trigger some sort of like chain reaction to the managerial merry-go-round. To be honest, mate, I can't say I've given it a lot of thought. From, I suppose, from a selfish aspect, that I think I was just more relieved the fact that Jurgen Klopp was going to be leaving Liverpool, and I think a couple of players have already come out and said that once Jurgen Klopp goes, they want out of the club as well. And
Yep.
I think
Van
it's a
Dijk being one.
testament. Sorry.
Van Dijk being
Yep.
one.
So it's likely we could see him moving over to German leagues or Spanish leagues as well. I know obviously he's got ages, or I think it's the wrong side of 30 now. But that being said, when you look at the likes of Eric Dyer, if he can get into into Bayern Munich, there's every likelihood that you're going to get someone of Van Dijk's caliber over overseas. So the fluffy answer is I genuinely don't know what's going to happen. And I haven't really given it a lot of thought, if I'm being completely honest. I think whatever happens, there's going to be a big shock. It's going to kind of be one of these bit of a left field responses. But I think when it comes to Liverpool, I think if you were to take someone like a Steven Gerrard, it's obviously not going to happen. But a club legend going back to a club into a managerial position, I think is only a good thing. Obviously, look at Dalglish. When Dalglish was a manager at Liverpool, did absolute wonders for them. Obviously, not so much in '89 when we pipped them to the post on the last game of the season. But there's no denying that Liverpool are a fantastic team. But you also could potentially ruin your credibility as a manager if it doesn't work out, and also your reputation amongst fans if it doesn't work out.
See, his thing. There's something else I want to talk about, but Steven Gerrard, you mentioned him there. Do you think he regrets leaving Rangers because he was tearing up the Scottish League? And I know it's a different kettle of fish in the Premier League, but everyone was saying, "Oh, he's going to come to Liverpool. He's going to come to Liverpool. He's going to come to Liverpool." That's not going to happen now. He's managing in Saudi. I've got to admit, he's tanked his career. I think once he's done his Saudi, he's retired. There is no. I don't think there's any further English football for him as such. Do you think he regrets leaving Rangers? Because I think personally, had he not left, Rangers would have gone on to dominate in the fashion that they were. He would have been bringing in Liverpool youth. Because of the connection to previously managing their youth team. Klopp leaves, Gerrard goes in there. I think you keep majority of the players because they know and respect him. But that's a long way off now. If it does happen, oh my God, that would be chaos, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I reckon we're going to see one of those what the fuck moments come the summer.
Stranger things has happened. Now, moving on, we've done managerial replacements. Recently, obviously, Jim Ratcliffe's deal to buy a large stake of Manchester United has been ratified, and he has started bringing in some new structure in the back end of it. One of those, and this is where this links in. This is another crazy theory. Beretta, the CEO of Manchester City, has moved across the city to be the CEO of Manchester United. Now, a lot of people were saying, why is he leaving? You're at essentially the club that's got the best playing squad in the world. You are winning everything. You could go on to win a fourth consecutive Premier League, which is unheard of.
Yep.
And therefore, why are you leaving that job that is very well paid because of what you've done with them? Now, the answer to that is Manchester City have got a very big case coming up. Lots of people had their opinions, and they're going to get found guilty of at least some of it, and some of it is going to be massive. So I think he's jumped ship before that. Don't get me wrong, the job he's done at Manchester City is second to none. The meteoric rise they've had. Okay, they have had a lot of funding, but when you look at it, Chelsea, Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal, you all had big funding to a certain extent. But they've just grown from this team. It wasn't that long ago. They was in like League Two, was it? If you think about it in the grand scheme of history.
Grand scheme, yeah.
So obviously he's jumped ship and moved to Manchester United, which is fine, no problem with that. People move jobs. Do you think do you think, and this is where the crazy theory comes in, we spoke about Asthmagate last season, and got a lot of views. Do you think Jurgen Klopp is jumping ship before shit hits the fan, and they figure out that actually they're paying off referees for VAR and the asthma thing, which means they can take steroid stuff and testosterone without getting around the rules, is all about to come out, and all of a sudden he's going to leave before it hits the front page or the back page, as it would be. Crazy theory, I know.
It is a crazy theory, but I'm going to be honest with you, mate. I thought when you come out and said that the Premier League is fixed and corrupt and stuff, I laughed at you then. So I'm not even going to entertain laughing at you now. And I'll be honest, mate. We've spoken about this the Asthmagate on several occasions, and obviously they have no. Well, I suppose it's open to interpretation, but knowingly duped the Premier League, etc. Because I do find it, although we saying that we have been up to Liverpool, and we know it is a bit of a dive, so it wouldn't surprise me if they do go get off the plane and automatically get asthma. So I mean, there's every likelihood, but in all seriousness, you could well be right. You could well be right, and I would be interested actually to come the end of the season, to see if anything comes out, and if it is, I'll tell you what, mate. If the day it gets announced on Sky Sports, we are jumping on this podcast straight away, doing like a breaking news story, and say go back 2 seasons ago when we recorded this on the podcast.
Yeah, we hit this first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, as you said, he's been in at Liverpool for 9 years. I can't even believe it's been that long, if I'm being completely honest.
Doesn't seem that long.
No, it's absolutely crazy. So yeah, maybe and let's not forget, over the course of the last 4 or 5 years, that Liverpool and Man City have kind of been battling it out, and there's been 1-2 points in it. And I know, obviously, Liverpool have won it during that time period as well, but maybe he just genuinely does need a break.
And that could be totally viable. It could be totally viable. It's not. It's Asthmagate, but yeah, it's no. That could be a totally legitimate reason. But I do think his name's going to be bounded around for a few different jobs, certainly in the summer. Unless the special one makes a return, who knows? Stranger things have happened.
Mourinho to Arsenal. Yeah. Arteta to Barcelona, Mourinho to Arsenal.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? What do you reckon the odds are on that? Not that I condone betting, but I reckon it's worth £1.
Have a look afterwards.
No idea. But yeah, I mean, I don't have anything else to add. I think I've rambled enough and come up with enough conspiracies to fill your hat. Do you know what I mean?
Mate, we should do a separate podcast just on your conspiracy theories, because you have got some absolute belters that we've discussed outside of it.
If I come out of enough of them, one of them's eventually going to be right. I told you. It's all legitimate.
But it is totally innocent. Anyway, moving swiftly on. Yeah, no, I haven't got anything else I want to talk about either.
Well, in that case, then, shall we wrap this up?
Yep.
Okay. Well, go on.
I was just going to say, if you have enjoyed this podcast, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We are here every week. There was a few issues that we had over the last couple of weeks, or in fact over the last few months, which is why it's been a little bit chop and changey recently. But we should be back on every week releasing new content. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and share it amongst your pals. And until next week, I've been here. I've been Mike. Bye.